Hello, my name's Alan Foom, and today I'm going to talk about coal electricity plants, commissioning and retirement since 2000. So what's been happening in the sphere of electricity generation from coal? Obviously, coal is the fossil fuel that produces the most CO2, and there's quite a lot of concern about that. So let's look at what's happening in terms of coal electricity generation. So this is a chart based on data from the BP Statistical Review of World Energy, the main source of energy data around the world. There are two parts to this graph. So the bottom part, the part in terms of the area, is the amount of electricity generated worldwide. So the grey parts are the electricity generated from coal. So the dark grey part's the OECD, the Western countries, and the lighter grey part is the non-OECD, the non-Western countries. The two yellowy-green parts of the area chart are electricity generated from all other sources. So that's nuclear, hydro, renewables, and natural gas. So what you can see is the total electricity generated worldwide has been increasing significantly, whereas the share from coal has been actually quite stable. But that changes a little bit depending on where you are. So the lines, the right-hand side of the graph, is the percentage of electricity generated from coal. So you can see this line here, which is the non-OECD countries, is declined very significantly from nearly 40% to just under 20% now, in a space of 20 years. The overall world figure, however, has stayed broadly similar, declined a little bit, so now it's about 36% of the world's electricity. Whereas the non-OECD has initially risen and then flatlined. But it's the non-OECD is now 47%, so just under half the world, their electricity is generated from coal. And that's mostly Asia. So if we look at what's been happening, it's Asia versus the rest of the world. So China's dominated with new plants. 69% of new plants, now generating half the world's coal-generated electricity. India's following, has big significant growth as their economy grows, their prosperity grows, now generating 12% of the world's coal-generated electricity. Both China and India have significant indigenous coal resources and significant mining communities that the politicians need to keep happy. Other Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia, other developing Asia, is also increasing quite significantly. But traditional Asia, rich Asia, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, has still maintained significant coal plant and is replacing old existing plant. Rest of the world, Europe, USA in decline. Retirements are now outnumbering new builds in the USA, whereas in Europe, UK is eliminating coal-generated electricity. Nearly there, not quite. Germany is declining, although there are quite a lot of political issues within Germany, whereas Poland's replacing. And Poland has a lot of indigenous coal, and coal plays an important part in Poland's energy landscape. Russia's been a steady state, replacing what they've decommissioned. But coal is a much smaller portion of the energy picture in other countries, so South America, most of Africa, negligible in the Middle East. So if we look at electricity from coal, this graph shows electricity generation. The blue bars are coal and the orange bars are non-coal. You can see how far ahead China is of everybody else, and what an important part coal plays within the Chinese energy landscape. Similar in India, USA, still a significant coal user, but significantly in decline, which has led to a fall in their carbon emissions. Japan, Korea, Russia, which is a relatively low coal user, mainly use gas and then nuclear, and then a tail of other countries. And if you look at the world total picture, it's dominated very much by Asia. Only non-Asian country in the top 10 or thereabouts are USA and Germany. But China's half, India's 12%, and a long tail of other countries. In terms of new plant commissioning, and this is data from the Global Energy Monitor website, well worth visiting, is basically 91% of all new coal plants in Asia. 69% of all that of the plant is in China, 13% in India. So China had its rapid spurt of coal plant in the early 2000s, peaked about 2006, 2007, and has been continuing since then, although slightly on a downward trend. India had a later peak in the mid 2010s, and then the others following onwards. So China's generated nearly 2/3 of the new plant, followed by India, followed by everyone else. It's a story of Asia. In terms of commissioning and retirements, now China is off scale, so I've had to truncate the scale so everyone can see it. But they've also retired a fair bit of old plants, so they're getting new, more efficient plant. India has significant growth. USA has had a net fall, as have Germany, and then these are the other countries that are tailing onwards. So everything above that is new capacity, everything below that is retirement. In terms of retirements and replacements, USA has retired the most plant, followed by China, retiring older plant. But the Chinese have replaced 8.5 times what they've retired. The Indians have replaced 13.5 times what they've retired. As have South Korea, as have Japan. So the rich Asians are also replacing plant. The Europeans, meanwhile, are basically phasing it out. So UK has retired 29,000 megawatts capacity, and they've not built anything. So it's on the way out. Ditto with Spain, ditto with Denmark, ditto with Italy, ditto with Romania and other European countries. So big divide between Europe and Asia. Now, the Global Energy Monitor has these very useful maps, very interactive maps with click on information. So this shows all the coal plants around the world. And you can filter that in various ways. You can filter that by plants that are operating. So plants in North America, Europe, Asia, with a few scattering elsewhere in South America and Africa. South Africa is a big coal user. Then you have plants that are retired. And you can see mostly America, mostly Europe, but also a fair smattering in Asia. These are old plant that has now been decommissioned. And then you have the plant plants. So what you can see about the plant plants, they're almost all Asia. Almost all Asia. So these are plants that are being pre-planned, under construction, announced, and permitted. Some in Africa, the odd one in South America, quite a few in Turkey. So this is where it's going. It's Asia. And Asia needs coal for electricity and to feed its hungry energy in developing economies. Quite what that's going to do to carbon emissions is another thing, but the Asians value economic development, and if we want to cut carbon emissions, we need to offer other solutions. Thank you very much. So please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.